And as Jed Fish is off, and as Tom, I think you mentioned last week when all this craziness started, the coaching carousel was done.
We were finished.
But now we're back up and going again. Jed Fish off to Washington. Arizona, a very interesting job. And we can talk about candidates, but is this fair? Arizona is a place that in much of the modern era, you can pop, but sustained success has not been proven. It is not. Arizona football in a lot of the modern era is not a consistent winner. I mean, that could even be detailed by the fact that most of their head coaches over the last couple decades have been fired.
All of them since the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since Arizona has had a coach do so well over such a long period of time that they get hired away. Jed Fish is the first in a long time. I mean, did Rich Rod put together a bunch of bowl seasons, Pac-12 South Division title, a top 20 finish? Yes. Did Mike Stoops run off a bunch of 8-win seasons? Yes. And clearly, Jed Fish, with 10 wins and a number 11 final poll ranking, had a great year and a very fast rise at Arizona. But there is nothing that I'm necessarily looking at that says this is something that is turnkey, that you can step right in and feel like the operation is ready to go and provide consistent year-over-year winning.
So if you look at the coaches that Arizona has hired, I sort of think the bones of this job might be a little bit better than the results have been in recent years. So Kevin Sumlin off A&M was a terrible hire. Kevin Sumlin should have taken a year off from coaching and had a bit of a reset. And I can't believe Arizona hired him, right? Rich Rod kind of at times had it going there and then kind of ran into some problems of his own making, right? Mm-hmm. The stuff that went down there isn't really Arizona's fault. Mike Stoops, I don't think anybody ever considered him some amazing coach, but he did win 8 games there a few times. Is it a top half job in the Big 12?
In the new Big 12, as you're stacking up all the jobs, top half.
Sure.
Yeah. So, honestly, you could just hit randomize as long as you just put whatever job you think is the best job in the new Big 12 at the top, and then let everyone else fall as it may. I think it's probably sort of in that middle 50% of jobs in the Big 12, depending on what kind of money they actually have. The chat seems to think Arizona's totally broke. You got to kind of separate school from program, but I clearly Washington's going to have a lot more money than Arizona is. I think they could probably get some decent candidates. If you guys know Jason Shear at Wildcat Authority, we had him on for the summer school series. He's got his hot board up. I thought he did a nice job with that. There's some decent names on here, right? Brent Brennan at San Jose, is a hell of a coach. Mm-hmm. They win with you want to talk about no resources? San Jose does not have money. I guarantee you that. They win consistently. Justin Wilcox is on there. I don't know I guess you leave Cal for Arizona, right?
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah. Yes, I would. Yeah.
That's going to have to be really hard travel schedule for Cal.
Yeah. You're about to take Cal into the ACC. If Justin Wilcox, if I was, and again, I'm projecting my own biases here, but if I was Justin Wilcox and I got the offer at Arizona, I would take that job over Cal.
He's got a couple hot coordinators on there. Will Stein, Brendan Carroll, who's already on the staff, Johnny Jansen, who was the Arizona defensive coach, who's now at Texas. He got hired away. Barry Odom, nearby UNLV. Troy Calhoun got mentioned. I don't know how Arizona's fan base would take that if you go from a real high-flying offense to an offense that scores, but in a different way.
Well, we remember what happened when they nearly hired Ken Yamatalolo. Khalil Tate got on there and got on Twitter and put a kibosh on that pretty quick.
Probably shouldn't let
Khalil Tate's Twitter account dictate a coaching search.
Yeah, that's probably pretty silly.
Yeah. Where would you go, Tom?
I think Brennan makes the most sense. He's connected to the school and he's done a great job at San Jose State. And I think that
we need to specify, because when Brent Brennan are both in the mix for the job. I mean, that's just set up for some reporting to go south right as we get closer to the announcement time. Is it Brennan? Yes. A text message between insiders.
I mean, I think Brent Brennan was somebody we mentioned before they hired Fish. Like back a couple of years ago, he was somebody that made a ton of sense then because San Jose State was coming off a good season, and San Jose State has still done well in the year since. So I think that with his connections to the school, he makes plenty of sense, especially if you're looking to get somebody who won't leave you after 3 years for another job, like what just happened. I think Brent Brennan was somebody who, if he comes to Arizona, might be in it for the long haul at this point.
Is Arizona a better job than Colorado?
It's the same.
I
think recruiting at Arizona than you could at Colorado.
Yeah, I would rather have Arizona than Colorado because of the recruiting. The Houston job to me is going to come down almost exclusively to, is Arizona actually broke?
Yeah.
If it is, then I want the Houston job. If it's not, then I think Arizona, because of like they have an actual history.
Mm-hmm. What about Cincinnati?
I don't. Whoa,
you cannot pause on that. I would take.
I don't think so. I think that in the new Big
Cincinnati's a better job than Arizona.
No, I think Arizona is a better job than Cincinnati. Okay. I think in the new Big 12, like, because you're kind of, you're in the region, whereas like Cincinnati is still way out here. It's I think connection wise, you're in the region, you're better. But I don't think there's any job in the Big 12 anymore that is drastically better than any other job in the Big 12. Like that, it's the coaching jobs are the same as the programs at this point. It's kind of a year by year thing.
It's kind of preference, fit, culture.
Yeah.
Right. The one is probably, but like then again, it's not like Kansas State's location's amazing. They just happen to have they've made multiple good hires in our lifetime.
I was thinking Kansas State, Baylor, and TCU, if only for the fact that like when they're running hot and the resources are there, you do have. I mean, you got some money, right?
Mm-hmm.
They sucked under Ron Prince, though. I mean, all these programs are capable of having bad seasons if they don't make the right coaching hire.
And
because
Oklahoma State,
so slim.
I've got no idea because Oklahoma, T-Boon's not with us anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So we don't have the benefactor who might be emotionally swayed to, invest to win, but we do still have the head coach. I mean, it's like I have no idea what Oklahoma State's going to look like after Mike Gundy. As long as I've been working at CBS, which has been since 2010, it's been the Mike Gundy era. So I don't really have a great reference for what the Cowboys are going to look like if that job opens anytime soon.
You can get the LSU job off of the Oklahoma State job. I know that.
That's true.
All right. So here's a question for you. Which non-Big Ten and non-SEC schools would you turn down Washington if you were at? So like which Big 12 and ACC jobs, if you had them, would you say, nah, Washington, thanks, but no thanks?
Florida State.
Okay.
Clemson.
Yep.
Miami.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any Big 12 job.
I don't think there is a single Big 12 job.
I think it's just 3 and then Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of, I wrote last July, and this is in line with what I was talking about when I wrote. Like, Big 12 fans got super pissed at me when I wrote this, but this is the crux of what I was writing. Like, this was just after Colorado had just decided to join the Big 12, and everybody was saying the Big 12 had, quote unquote, won the battle with the Pac 12. You didn't win. Like, this is kind of going to be the future. Like, Arizona was a program that was going to be in the top 10 to start next season. It was coming off a great year. It was going to be competing for the Big 12, and your coach left for Washington. He might be taking half the roster with him when he gets there, and you're starting over again. And in other words, you are in the exact position that the Mountain West schools have been in, the Sun Belt schools have been in, all these G5s. You are now a feeder system to these two big leagues. I'm not saying this is going to happen every time, because we also saw Lance Leipold. He's still at Kansas. He was somebody that was considered for this job, and he stuck around. But this is going to start happening more and more, whereas the Big 12, you're surviving, but as we keep going along and the gap keeps getting wider and wider and wider, you won against the Pac-12, but the Pac-12's gone. So it's like, I didn't beat anybody at this point.
You get to sell the competitiveness.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Every single Big 12 guy. That's like, Bud. I mean, I think you said it on the air, but that's what That's what they should be leaning in on. The Big 12 should be all in with a gambling partner and just only encourage live betting. There are no games that are more of a roller coaster to live bet than the Big 12. That's the way that you turn it into. That's the Maction of Saturdays. How's that for a slogan that I'm sure that they would not proudly boast to the rest of college football?
Totally.
But it's true.
I mean, that's how they should market it. At every game, are any games like great games in terms of talent level? No. Are they all like pretty decent watchable games? For the most part, yeah.
And coaching's pretty good, like up and down.
Yeah.
Some pretty good ball coaches. You say that the talent level, is not overly impressive, but I wouldn't say that it always looks like bad football. I mean, it's
right.
Well-coached football.
Yeah.
It's just the individuals that are doing it are not certified future NFL draft players like they are elsewhere.
And we can appreciate that and like that.
Yes.
Like we don't have to root for just like 28 teams and ignore everybody else. Throughout the world, there's lots of different divisions of play that are really popular. We don't have to just be, hey, there's just one group of teams we care about. Like, I'm going to watch the hell out of the Big 12. I think it'll be great.
Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy that more than I am the super talented team that's assing it up out there. Just going 7-5 and making boneheaded decisions all the time.
Yeah, go Canes.